Why are you not getting the sound you would like to? This is not an easy question to answer, but I will give my best to give you as many as possible steps on the path for getting the sound you would like to. Hi everyone, my name is Marco Eclip and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. If you clicked on this video with this title, then most likely you have a problem making your tracks to sound as you would like to. This video will be theoretical and I will address several necessary points you should understand if you expect to have a better sound. Point number 1. You don't need a fancy equipment to get a great sound. Studio equipment can be divided in 3 types: sound sources like synthesizers, samples and other gear that produce sound. The second type is a signal processors and FXs like reverbs, delays, compressors, etc. and equipment for listening. In this point I will speak about equipment for listening only, and the rest I will address in the next video points. You don't need a fancy equipment to get a great sound. This is the quote that I put as the first point, as I believe this was the one which pushed me away from making my progress in making my track sounds better and made my progress slower. At first, I strongly believed that better equipment will push me forward and that I will get the right sound and the sound I wanted for my music. Now, the second question that can be pulled from the previous question is, can you have a great sound with less expensive gear? Yes, I believe you can, but with better equipment, you will have much better results and you will get these results much faster. With better equipment, you won't benefit only with your time, and if you make good results faster, you will have much better self-esteem. Now, the second reason is that if you have a better equipment, and by getting equipment for getting the better sound I mean on speakers, converters and room acoustics, as for a better sound, we need to have as best possible signal coming from our DAW to our ears and the brain. This is what I call the signal path, the path that signals goes through from our DAW to our brain. So if we want to make the best decisions while we deal with any instruments or any channels in our tracks, it will be very important how good the signal that we receive is. If there are any changes or anomalies in the signal while it goes through this path to our brain, it will influence our decision while we process the channels in our tracks. So the beginning of the signal path is our computer, where we store our audio images. Now, we all should know that we cannot store the sounds on our computer as the sound is alive and it needs time and space. We can store only the images of our sounds, which can be called samples, stems, tracks or whatsoever. Now, to pass those samples, stems and tracks to the speakers, we need a conversion. We need to convert a digital signal or digital image to an analog signal. This is the job of our sound card, the audio interface, as all these units have DA converters. Once you plug your speakers into the output, that output most likely has the DA converter before it. This is the first important step for our signal. How good the DA converter is and how good it will translate those images to an analog signal that our speaker will receive is of extreme importance for our signal. The better the conversion is, the better or more accurate the signal is. And the important thing to mention is that after buying the better DA converters, you will not get the better listening results. You will get a more accurate signal and most likely your previous work will sound even worse. I'll give you one example. Several years ago, Captain Hook started his solo project and everybody spoke about his great quality and the mixes and the sound that was so good. At the time, I had a cheap equipment back home and I wasn't able to hear his quality. I had the impression that all of my tracks sounded way better, but after I heard the same tracks on festivals and big PA systems, I was blown away and I became so confused. Why did these tracks sounded so good at the festival while mine sounded terrible in comparison with these ones? And why do I have an opposite impression in my studio? The answer is that the signal I was receiving in my studio was not accurate and it was lying to me. But be aware, only buying a better sound card without upgrading other signal path steps will not give you the results you want. You can expect the high-end results only if you upgrade all the steps for your signal path. Now, the second step is that our speakers are receiving the analog signal that came from a DA converter and they need to reproduce the information they get. By using some electric power and moving the membranes or drivers, our speakers will make a pressure on the air in the room that we sit in and it will produce the sound waves. How good our speakers are, that good the signal they will fill the room in will be. Now the third is the room. If the room can absorb the sound waves that can reflect from the ceiling, from the walls, from the floor, Then we will get the more clear signal than if our room doesn't have any acoustic treatments. And the last part are our ears, which have the eardrums, and our eardrums are working the same way as the microphones. They receive these sound waves and they have nerves connected to them, and this signal is again being converted to a digital signal and passed through our neural network to our brain. Now, we can't do much for our eardrums besides saving them from some loud environments and making some damage of them, but the more we listen and pay attention to what we are hearing, we're going to build these neural network paths stronger, and we will increase the resolution of our listening by time. The more we listen, the more details we're gonna hear. This is what we call the training. And after we receive the signal to our brain, we can apply some of the knowledge that we got all these years. The main point is that investing in all of these steps mentioned will only help you to get a better sounding results and much faster. So can you do it without good equipment? Yes, you can, but not good enough as you would do it with it. This strategy is maybe the most expensive in a material way, but is the cheapest if we talk about the time. As with the better listening equipment, we will get the results much easier and much faster and without any frustration. Now, if you are not in a position to invest in all these steps, I would also suggest and advise that you can hire a mixing engineer to do that part of the job for you, and you can spend more time in being creative, as struggling to make a good sounding tracks will kill your creativity. Trust me on this one, I speak from my personal experience. I have never mentioned it before, but if you like my videos, please like, subscribe, and most important, if you like these videos, please share it on your social network. It will help this channel a lot. Point number 2. I follow all the rules and I still don't get the results that I want. There are many channels, videos and courses that will teach you so many rules you should follow to get a better sound. But from my perspective, most of these rules and techniques are made by the people that had a problem getting the sound they want by listening, most likely because of not having the signal pad good enough. And because they couldn't trust their ears, most of us are trying to rely on our eyes, using many visual tools as analyzers, oscilloscopes, and following certain rules that can be heard somewhere or from somebody in hope that we will get the results that we want. But trust me on this one, the sound is alive, and I have been following so many rules and techniques and I never got the results I wanted. Once I invested in my signal pad, I decided to get rid of all the rules, and once I started testing and listening to what will happen if I break these rules, I started to get a way better results. And the most important thing is that I started enjoying and not being frustrated and going into the crazy rabbit holes. I will give you another story about the sound being alive. In this studio, the acoustics were built by a professor from Serbian University, Professor Dragan Novkovic, and Dragan told me that he knows everything about the sound reflection and how the sound moves and work, but every time he makes a project or plans for the studio, it never worked. Even if he knew everything and followed all the rules and techniques, he said that every studio it has a different story and that every time he needed to fix one by one thing. So measuring, understanding what is wrong and fixing it, and then moving to another one. The same goes for mixing, listening, finding the problem, solving it and moving to the next one. Just while mixing, we should rely on our listening, as the professor did all the measurements for us, and now we can receive a good quality signal and we can trust what we hear. So if the signal path is good enough, relying only on what we hear, you will understand straight away what is not right with the certain sounds and what you should do to fix them. So finding the right speakers for you and DA converters and fixing all the acoustic treatments is not that easy, and it can take a while, but I would advise that you put this on the first spot on your priority list if you want to make your mixes by yourself. I've been switching from speakers to speakers and moving things around, but if you are patient and persuasive enough, once you find what suits you the best, you will realize that straight away, as the frustration will go away and you will start feeling much better from what you do. I wanted to speak about and address many other points as well, but because I started writing the scripts for the videos to be more accurate and to prevent forgetting something important to say, I believe these two are enough for this video. Again, if you like my videos, you can find the online courses on my website, and also like, subscribe and share will be of huge help for this channel. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon in another video. Bye.